Hello, Arizona, and welcome to this episode of 22 Minutes. I am Jason Bates, and I'm going to bring you the lender side of things of this show, and he is Stephen Cotton. He's going to bring us the realtor side of things, and let me put the...
It's the pop and lock side of the show.
Yeah, the pop and lock side of the show. All right, I just closed that window down because my computer is running hot and heavy here. We hope to not only entertain you, but also bring you valuable content that you can actually use when you're looking to buy, sell, refinance property. If you're looking to do any of those things in the near future, or know of anybody who's looking to do any of those things in the near future, we want to be your team of choice. So please reach out to us. Hey, speaking of reaching out to us, you can head over to our Facebook page and message us. That's another way to communicate with us. Message us right from our Facebook page. And you can even call us directly from our Facebook page. So it's pretty cool to do that. And another way that you can actually communicate and interact with the show is actually go to the Facebook page, our Facebook page, write your comments below this post, and they will show up here on the live show. So that's a pretty cool. You just wrote one? All right, so hopefully it'll show up here. It won't make me a liar.
Right. That's how we'll know.
Yeah. There it is. I think it's going to show up here any second. All right. So with that, we always do a tweet quote of the day to begin the show. So hopefully these inspire people out there. I don't know. I like looking at them. So we're going to do it. Here we go.
We have to do it. It's part of the day.
It's part of the day. All right, here we go. There's no passion to be found in settling for a life that is less than one you are capable of living. So, if you've got dreams of home ownership, this is the second one by Nelson Mandela in a week, right? If you're passionate and you have a passion to be a homeowner, well, hey, we want to help you with that passion, but it takes the right people. Don't settle. We talked about that a little bit. That's why I thought this one was a little appropriate. Some people are settling for houses, and sometimes you have to, I guess, depending upon your situation. But be passionate about it and get that home that you really want. We're going to talk about that today a little bit.
Yes.
Right? We're going to talk about renting and home ownership and that sort of thing. I'm not going to do the transition on this show. I think we'll just stick with what we got.
Living off the grid. We're going off track.
Changing it up, man. Changing it up.
Yeah, bro.
Change it up.
All right.
So, hey, I want to talk a little bit here. This is Throwback Thursday for all of you who are watching the show. This is the episode that, typically we get questions and we throw back the answers.
They would know that if you had the transition up. Right? Because it says Throwback Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah. Throwback Thursday. There you go. So let me put the Facebook thing back on.
Yeah, you throw us a question, we pick it up, we throw back an answer. It's a fun little game of, what do you know about this? What do you know about this? What about this? Yep.
This is maybe Stump the Trump. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just came up with that. That was not
chump.
very good.
Chump.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah. So, hey, I want to talk a little bit about credit scores today because I always get asked, okay, I have this credit score, therefore I get the loan, right?
Yeah.
Well, not so fast, right? It's not always just about the credit score. And I had this come up several times this week when meeting with some agents. One of the things that loan officers unfortunately do and they kind of promote out there is, hey, we can do a down payment assistance down to a 620 credit score, or 640 credit score, whatever their program is. And then immediately people hear, okay, well, I got that score, therefore I get the loan, right?
Free house.
Yeah, free house. And it doesn't necessarily work that way. And so I want to kind of explain a little bit about that. So credit score is part of the determining factor. Of course, that's where the conversation begins. So the conversation...
It's the qualifier, right? It's the qualifier.
Qualifier.
Yeah, the credit score. Okay. Now let's look at everything else.
Exactly right. So don't assume by just having the credit score that, and then get frustrated because you don't hear what you want to hear or get what you want to get. So it's not always just about the credit score. There's one of the things that we look at as lenders, or lenders look at, is, okay, you have the credit score, but then are you paying rent? Because if you're living with mom and dad, or you're not paying rent, or you're in a no rent situation, there's what they call payment shock, where then you buy a house and you're paying now all of a sudden $1,000 a month, where before you weren't. We don't have anything to determine whether or not you're capable of paying that $1,000 a month.
Okay.
Okay. Or have the commitment to pay that $1,000 a month, I guess is a better way of putting it. Because even though the debt to income ratio may say that you can do that, but the debt to income ratio is not an all-inclusive telltale sign of your ability to repay a loan, because there are things that you pay for that do not show up on credit, that are expenses in life. So, just kind of keep that in mind. We're going to look at the entire picture. The qualifier is the credit score. Well put, Stefan. Right there.
So you've qualified. So here we are. I've qualified. I did my due diligence. I got my credit score up the way you told me to get it up. Now give me my free house. Right?
Yeah, here's the keys. Here you go. Here's the keys.
But, okay, so now what?
The rocket mortgage. That's the
Here you go.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is now you got to find a house. I mean, in our market, you got to find a house that you want.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, okay. So now I want to dive a little bit into, so credit scores, right? Credit scores aren't, we're clear on that. Now, all the realtors who may be watching, hopefully you're clear on that too. I want to
Is
give,
that all we're going to touch about it, or is that
well, yeah, it's pretty much it. I mean,
because you talked a little bit about debt to income, but I think people need to understand, like right now we're at 45%. Annie Mae's going to open it up to 50%.
Yes. Again, this is something, I know this is news out there and people have said this. I haven't seen any guidelines to determine if there's a credit score requirement in order to go up to 50% debt ratio. It's one of these things where, these things are put out there as publicity, but then you got to read the fine print. And I'm not a skeptic per se. I think anything to help more people and encourage home ownership, I think it's a great thing. But I don't want to put the cart before the horse until we know the facts. That's the one thing about this show and us being somewhat in the public's eye, I guess. We don't want to over promise, under deliver kind of thing, right? And I hear that a lot from people. So just try to set the right expectations. So debt to income ratio, yes, it's a determining factor after you have the credit score. Assets can be another thing. If you've shown the ability, to give you an example, a comparison side by side, somebody who's living at home with their parents, not paying rent, doesn't have any savings whatsoever, is asking for down payment assistance, and has very limited credit. That profile, number one. Then B profile, or number two profile, somebody who's paying rent, their actual house payment will be less than what they're paying in rent. They've got a 401k, or they've got some money in the bank. Yes, they had some hiccups on their credit. However, they have the credit score, and their debt ratio is 20%, so they're not overextending themselves in the home. That profile is a little bit stronger, right, than somebody who's, living at home and not really, doing anything to contribute toward the purchase.
So for somebody that has the person A scenario, we would recommend 3.5% down FHA instead of the DPA, because they might not qualify for the DPA. But they still qualify for the FHA, right?
Yeah, good point. I mean, it's not that they wouldn't qualify for a loan. I mean, we certainly would need to take a look at it and see if it would qualify, or they would qualify. I'm just saying there are profiles within, even though the credit score is the same, equal, the profile can be stronger in one area or another. It's just like making an offer on a house, right? Some offers are a little stronger than others. So it's the same thing it's the same thing on the profile. The credit is the qualifier. Then we're going to look at the overall profile, because I've seen many times people say, "Hey, Jason, I've got the credit score. Why couldn't I get approved? Why couldn't I get this automated approval that you talk about?"
You promised.
Yeah, you promised. You said it was 620. Well, what they're looking at is your usage of credit, your depth of credit, your in-file date, how long you've had credit. Somebody who's had credit for 6 months, they may have a 720 credit score, but somebody who's had credit for 10 years might have a 650 credit score. But we have more data to base a decision off of. from that longer profile kind of thing. So it's a complete package to it. And that's where the skill and the, history or the expertise of the loan officer can help explain your particular situation. It's kind of like your fingerprint. Each one's going to be slightly different to it. So that's why it's important to have a good team, right? Because some guys, banks are notorious for this, right? Banks will say, hey, you got the credit score? Next. You don't?
Yep.
Okay, next, you're denied. And then they kind of draw a line in the sand with the credit score, and that's it.
Right.
And it's truly not just the credit score. I think we put too much emphasis on a credit score, to be quite honest with you. I don't really like.
You know what? Scores. I'll tell you why. Because it's on the TV.
Yeah.
Free Credit Karma or whatever, score.com, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that's easily attainable. Like I can figure out what my credit score is by 2 clicks of a button. So I clicked my button. Now I know if I qualify for that part. But we don't. It's harder to plug in your DTI. If there's like a little button that says "What's your DTI?" all of a sudden it just fills it in for you. Then you kind of know that too.
Right.
But it's not like that. So it's just something that you can grab. That's the first step. Hey, I need the credit score. That's my first step.
Yeah. I just read your Facebook thing there. Okay. Thanks, buddy.
Oh, yeah. It's only been on there for 22 minutes or 11 minutes, but yeah.
I know, right? Credit scores were put in place to take the emotional factor out of a credit decision. So lenders found that each underwriter could then tie themselves to a particular scenario or situation. Divorce happens. We talked on the pre-show about medical situations, that sort of stuff. These things happen in everyone's life. So if a person can identify with that person and then start to feel sorry for that person, they may not make a prudent underwriting decision. And so credit scores were put in place to take that emotional tie out of underwriting. That's the real purpose of a credit score. Okay. So, all right. So hopefully we kind of covered the whole credit score thing. So just keep that in mind. It's not just about your credit score. Look at your overall profile. Would you lend to yourself kind of thing? Or would your family member lend to you? Or would a stranger lend to you? And if they would, then chances are we would probably lend to you too, even with the lower credit score. Okay. I want to go over a chart here as well. And I'll have to probably take off this Facebook thing so we can see it.
Sure.
If we get any comments, I'll put it up again. But let me get to the chart here. And this is a chart that will kind of help illustrate rent versus buy kind of thing, or buy versus rent kind of comparison. So this is a chart that I can provide to you as a consumer to kind of illustrate what it is for your particular situation. So on the left... Go ahead.
Before we start, scroll up a little bit. Yesterday's episode was funny street names.
There you go. Right. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I thought that's kind of interesting. Okay, now I'll get back to you.
Yeah. Okay. So buy versus rent. All right. So here, I just took a little bit, and Stefan helped me out here. 1165. I looked up in Tempe for a 2-bedroom apartment. Now, mind you, it's an apartment. Right, 2-bedroom. I don't know how many square foot that might be. Maybe that's 1,200 square feet or something. 900, maybe. Whatever.
1120.
1165 is the going rent in Tempe right now. So this is going to vary dependent upon where you're at, but this will help illustrate some things here for us. So renters insurance. Not a lot of renters carrying renters insurance, but I put renters insurance in there at $20 over here. Now, buying, average sales price, first time home buyer, I'm assuming, apartment, not renting a house, they're $1,165. If you're renting a house, obviously the rent's probably going to be closer to $2,000 a month in rent. But purchase price on a first time home buyer, given the affordability factor, things like that, most first time home buyers want to be in the probably 175, maybe 200 kind of price range. Is that kind of a fair statement there? And so I did an FHA loan here, assuming 3.5% down as a down payment. So that's why the loan amount is at $168,875. Okay, so that's 3.5% of 175. Interest rate, I just put 4.25 as an interest rate. That will vary, of course, depending on the market and where the market's at the time that you watch this, or if you're watching live. Term of the loan, 30-year term. Closing costs, about $5,500. And closing costs, maybe a little bit more, but that's this is one thing right now, Stefan, that maybe you can talk on a little bit. Closing costs, who pays them? This is assuming that they would pay for them, but a lot of people,
Right.
first-time home buyers, have a difficult time saving. Therefore, they ask the seller to contribute toward closing costs. So this is kind of a relative number here.
We ask for it, and we talked about it on several different shows, how we can get it paid. Sometimes the lender can buy the points down. We talked about that, so your 4.5 or 4.25% might go up to 4.5,
Right.
but you get the closing costs covered. There's ways to get around it, but a lot of times it used to be the sellers would do it all the time, but it's a seller's market now. I've seen 1.5%, I've seen none, I've seen 2%. I always ask for 3%, but if you're competing with another offer, then you might want to be a little more creative and not ask for that. Maybe go up a little higher in price or something.
Right.
Offset it.
So now the property tax is about $1,400. That's probably it's an average. It's not going to be exact. This is just for these purposes here on the chart here. Mortgage insurance by FHA 0.85. Homeowners insurance valley-wide average $720 a year. Home maintenance $2,000 a year. Cost to sell. This number here is when you go to sell your home, there are costs associated with selling. You got to pay the realtor, both realtors, both listing and buyer side. And then as Stefan pointed out, another 1% for title fees. So about 7% it costs to sell. And then the average, now this here 5 as years before selling, that's kind of an average there. Most people either refinance or sell the property between 4 to 6 years. Now that may change depending on rates and where people are at, but that's kind of a nationwide average right there. Assuming. Go ahead.
And I wanted to add a few things. So I was doing this while you were doing that, while you were filling in that stuff. I looked in Tempe. The cheapest house in Tempe right now is $182,000. Okay. And that's a house. If you're going to rent it, it's probably like $1,400 or something. But the taxes for it are only $802. So.
Okay. So we can adjust this too. We can adjust this. We got a few minutes. We can do that. Appreciation rate, 5% appreciation on a home as a homeowner. That's a pretty good nationwide average. We could even lower that if we needed to. And then assuming your tax bracket at about 25% tax bracket. So those are the numbers. And so if we take a look then at this chart here, how it cash flows. So here, let me kind of put my cursor over here. At $1,294, that is what your house payment would be. So buying being here in the dark blue, renting being in the purple here, in the purple shade. And that's just taking the $1,165 plus the 20, right? You can see at year 3, you're pretty much about equal as far as payment, monthly payment goes, right? But by year 5, assuming that you would sell or refinance in year 5, you can see, assuming that the rent appreciation, that your rent would go up annually, you would be paying actually more in year 4 in rent than what you would for a mortgage. Because remember, on a 30-year fixed, it's fixed other than, as Stefan rightly pointed out, the taxes or the insurance may change slightly, right? But we adjusted for that a little bit, right? Because we have $1,400.
We have inflated it, yeah. So right now, for something of that price point in Tempe, your tax burden is only $800. You put, I think, 100.
14.
Yeah, change that to 800 just to see how this changes, because we're at it's 1860.
Where's that? The property tax.
Right there. Yeah.
What is it?
Just to 860.
860.
For the house, that's the cheapest house in Tempe right now, 182, 3-bedroom. So see how quickly you break even? Yeah.
Yeah, in 2 years.
Yeah, change that to 182. This house has got multiple offers on it already. It's only 3 days on it, but it's a good.
So 182, and let me change 182 minus 3.5.
I times it by 965, yeah.
Yeah, so 175, 630. So you go. It's still right there. But renting that house, what do you think renting a house? Now we're doing apartments here, right? So the rent on a house might be, if we're going to compare apples to apples, we're taking an apartment versus a house, right? So
I'm going to do that right now.
A little different here, but This is, again, for the purpose of it. But again, year 3, you're pretty much just about breaking even. And if you're renting a house right now, I would venture to say you're probably breaking even after year 1.
3-bedroom, 2-bath is 1,200 in Tempe right now.
1,200. So if we, I mean, not much difference then.
1,200
Okay.
square feet, yeah, right. So it's 1,195, 1,200, and then it goes up from there.
But even still, $1,200 a month in rent right there, you're pretty doggone close on year number 2.
Yep.
On that, right? And you're paying somebody else's mortgage for that. So these are a little more realistic, I guess. So gain through appreciation, $50,000 in 5 years. Just through appreciation in 5 years, assuming a 5% appreciation rate.
Yep.
Which Tempe is pretty solid. I mean, Tempe does pretty well for themselves in the valley. Equity through amortization. This is when you're paying the principal down. So after 5 years, you would have gained $16,000 in just equity through paying down the mortgage.
The mortgage payments, okay.
Yeah, paying down the mortgage. And then the tax benefit, assuming, again, you're in a 25% tax bracket through write-offs and interest deductions, that sort of thing, you're going to gain almost $10,000.
Like in returns and things like that, if you already paid them.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Tax write-offs.
$100 extra a month, yeah.
Yeah.
Or $1,200 a year.
Yep. So this appreciation value, you purchased it for 182. In 5 years, the property, theoretically, assuming a 5% appreciation and assuming that you don't do any improvements to the home or that sort of thing, would be $232,000, which is a net gain of $56,000. This is where Ben Carson, what was he saying? Home ownership.
Yeah, you have renters have a home worth, or what is it, the value
Net
of
worth.
5,000. Net
Yeah,
worth of
net-
5,000. Homeowners have a net worth on average of 200,000.
Yeah. So you can see in 5 years, just by making your mortgage payment, just do nothing more than make your mortgage payment, you will have a $56,000 gain.
Yeah. 5% if the market stays where it's,
Yeah.
Insert disclaimers here. But
Yeah, to have the disclaimers. But
the other thing is, so that's that number. Scroll down again to it. There. 56,000. Okay. That includes the, you paying off the principal.
mhm.
I would think that.
Well, it's appreciation value, right? So, yeah, paying
It's
off the principal and stuff.
50,000.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
56,000. I like it. So, those of you that want to rent for 2 more years, you're losing out on probably $20K, right?
Yeah. I mean, just the gain through appreciation is, 50,000. So
What's the monthly payment on the 182 at 4.25?
sorry. Monthly payment is $1,287.
So you can rent it for $1,220, or you can buy it for $1,287.
Right.
And if you spend that extra $67 a month, then you can get $56,000 in equity
Yeah.
in 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, even in year 2, I mean, look at year 2, 1,268. I think that's the number, right? Yeah, 1,268 versus 1,287, $20 a month.
Yep.
I mean, that's Starbucks, right? To get
And
the
then you're also
appreciation.
going to get that money back on your tax write-offs. So even the difference, because you're not going to get those tax write-offs if you're renting, you're going to get them if you own. So anything extra that you paid in this example for Tempe,
You're netting at the end of the day after the tax write-off. You're netting positive, no question. So it's I guess, and I don't know why people haven't talked about this more. And I know we're out of time here, but why rent when you can buy? Here's a perfect illustration of the power of renting a home. Super powerful stuff.
power of buying a home. Power of buying.
Power of borrowing. Thank you for correcting me there.
Greatest illustration on why you should rent.
Yeah,
Everybody
no rent, no rent. Yeah, no, definitely buy it. This is super powerful stuff. And if this doesn't help get you excited about buying a house and be passionate about buying a house, like the tweet quote of the day, you got to have the right team around you to kind of help illustrate these things to you. Because I think too many people just look at, okay, well, I'm paying rent here and my rent is actually cheaper than what I'm going to pay. But you got to look at the total picture, just like we talked about the credit score that we're going to do, right? We're going to look at the total picture. So
we got a few people that just tuned in. They missed out the whole presentation. So what I would recommend is start about 17 minutes. 17 minutes.
Yeah, rewind it there
Use-
for us.
use
Thanks
that
for tuning
clock
in, by the way. Yeah, thanks
Yeah.
for tuning in. Appreciate that.
Little late. That's okay. Better late than
Little
never.
late to the party. Little late to the party. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We are out of time. We try to respect your time and keep it to 22 minutes. We typically, with so much information, we go over a little bit, so I do apologize about that. We do this Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. live on our Facebook channel, page, not channel, Facebook page, and our YouTube channel. So if you want to catch us on the live, check us out at 9 a.m. Arizona time, Pacific Standard Time right now. And you can do that. And you can participate by putting your Facebook comments below, and they will show up here on the live show. So that'd be awesome if you do that. While you're there on our Facebook page, like the page for us. We'd appreciate that. Share with your friends and family, especially if you're looking to buy, sell, refinance, or invest in property. We want to be your team of choice. So please reach out to us. We'd love to help. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Don't be bashful.
Get a little closer. Don't be shy. What song is that? The gum, Wrigley Spirit. Remember the Twins commercial with the gum?
No, I can't recall.
You will recall after the show. Everybody else, remember, get a little closer. Don't be shy. Something with Wrigley's. I don't know. Maybe it's not Wrigley's. Or maybe
Wrigley.
I'm thinking that. You know what it is? I'm missing it up because I'm doing the "Come on, knock on your door."
I'm doing Three's Company.
Theme
Yeah.
with the
Three's
Wrigley spearmint gum thing. Spearmint
Yeah.
gum. All right.
Anyhow.
What a way to end it on a high note, Todd. Way to end it on a high note.
There you go, man. All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Have a great day out there. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.